Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Donnie.
And I'm Nick, and today we're rambling about bird identification
And why are we doing that?
because the prime time is around the corner.
Sure is.
Pretty well kind of almost started. Not prime time, but the migration has started.
Yeah, the migration started, but we can definitely testify it's not prime yet.
Yeah,
Like, it's been pretty sparse.
very sparse.
Although a lot of good birds have come through.
Slim
So
numbers.
this show is going to be going out after Paul, like the one we've just done.
Yep.
So there's still birds coming through when we record it with Paul. And I guess that kind of gives us the impetus to talk a bit about bird ID, and hopefully anybody who's watching can get on that there. But first of all, I want to mention that this is pretty tasty here.
Delicious. Soda Pop Bros.
Yeah, so
Great work all time.
they've brought out 7 new flavors,
7 new flavors.
and we picked them up at the weekend. And this is a raspberry ginger ale, and I have to say it goes well as we're sitting in a apple orchard.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe an apple pop would be good.
That'd be good. Yeah,
So maybe get on that, Jeremy. If you're listening, Jeremy, apple pop.
delicious. Yeah. Oh, then we also have to thank Josh there for making our
Oh,
intro.
yeah.
We've been meaning to
Yeah,
mention him every time we start, but we always get
Yes.
right into the conversation and nailed it with the intro tune there. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
anybody who's listening, if you may have got to the point where you kind of want to ignore the little startup theme music and video, but that was composed for us by Josh Kaiser,
Yeah,
and you can get his music on where's Spotify.
Spotify. We'll put the link.
Yeah,
below.
we'll put some links to
Yeah.
Josh's
Very talented
stuff.
fella.
So actually, his dad's talented as well. We'll probably have him on.
Yeah,
Jerry likes to hang out with us sometimes, so we'll
great
have him on.
stories.
Yeah, we'll have some. That'll probably be like a bumper edition. Like that'll be like a Joe Rogan, like 4 hours.
4 hours. Yeah.
Jerry rambling. But anyway, yeah. So back to what we're talking. So wait, and we're getting to the prime. So I thought, yeah, we'll try and talk a bit about bird ID, what people can expect to see in the coming weeks. Usually the middle 2 weeks of May is the majority of the birds come through. Some come a bit earlier, some come a bit later, and different species come during that whole period. So a lot of the early birds are already in. People are already seeing posts and things online of like the rose-breasted grosbeak. Another beautiful bird. It's one of the ones people love to see. It's just that black and the white, and it just has
Nice
that
contrast.
bleeding red chest.
Yeah.
What's pretty cool, if you're actually listening to this here and you come across one with the yellow, try and get a photo of it. There is actually quite a few of them have the reds like turned like a yellow colour. So I seen one of those in Point Bealey many years ago. Don't have a picture, but if you do, send it in. Yeah, so it's whenever those start showing up, that's when you start to see people getting really interested. But there has been birds, drips and drabs coming before that. The Baltimore Oriole,
Yeah.
another one. And how do you identify the Baltimore Oriole, Nick?
Orange and black.
There you go.
Nice. That one's a easy one. Yeah.
Another one. It's a song most people will be sort of familiar with, even if they don't know it's a Baltimore Oriole song. They'll be familiar because they hear it.
Yeah.
In this area in Essex
One of the
County.
louder ones.
It's
to
a
hear.
loud song. It has a nice song. It also has a little raspy call that it makes as well. But it will be one that we will get nesting in our area. Up until usually June, like they're really at the feeders quite a bit. But once they've got their young, they transfer over to bugs and that, so you don't see them coming for the nectar. And then through the summer, they sort of pick up again when they go back to trying to get nectar. So if you've got oranges and that, now's the time to have your oranges out. If you want to get if you want to get these kind of birds at your feeders, like hummingbird, get your hummingbird feeders up. Just a nice brightly coloured feeder. Don't use the dyed,
The red dye.
stuff. Make your own. 4 parts water to 1 part sugar. Boil it and then cool it and put it out. It's just as good for them. It's better for them than the dyed stuff, because the dyed stuff's got dye in it and you don't know where the dye is coming from, and it becomes an issue. But there's another one, the ruby-throated hummingbird. In our area, it's only hummingbird we're going to get. In the fall, sometimes you get the odd vagrant, couple of other species, but generally if you have a hummingbird coming to your feeder, it's going to be a ruby-throated hummingbird.
Probably one of the cooler birds ever.
Well, it's
they're amazing.
watching them things just
It's like-
hover, right? It's
You mistake them for big bees often. You're like,
Oh,
"Is that
yeah.
a bee?
yeah,
Nope,
yeah.
hummingbird. What are some of the harder birds to identify? For me, it's like flycatchers. I'm always like, I can just say flycatcher.
Right.
Pretty difficult. And sparrows are like, whew.
Well, the flycatchers probably the hardest. There's some easy flycatchers because of the size of them. The phoebe is probably one of the first ones that shows up.
Yep.
So it's a lot of them you can sort of just call quickly on the time of year they come.
Yep.
If it's another one like the great crested flycatcher, it's starting to come in probably this week. But it's a bit easier to identify because of it's sort of the bright colour, the yellow, the brown in the back, and then it has the crest. So it's easier to see. But yeah, like I said, even the phoebe, doesn't have a lot of colour, but just the time of the year, it's going to come in first.
Mhm.
It's going to nest in this area, so you become familiar with it quickly. But like you say, you start going into the olive-sided flycatcher, least flycatcher.
Unless they're side by side, or you're pretty experienced.
Experience, and it's sound.
Yeah.
So
Sound.
there's actually some of them you can't be 100% sure until you hear them sing. And they could sing all they want to me. I wouldn't know their song.
Yeah.
But actually, I think we should do that sometime. We'll have a little
Competition.
song competition. We'll try and learn some songs.
Like a karaoke, like who can sing?
Yeah, I'll
better?
sing it. I'll sing the song if you can pick it up. Yeah, if you can identify the songs from me singing, you're going some.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, we'll definitely do that. Maybe in the fall or something. We'll try and we'll challenge ourselves to try and learn like X amount. We'll have a list maybe. I don't know.
It had to be like we'd have to get Paige to play them.
Oh, and then
and-
buzzer, and who gets in
Yeah,
first.
And she'll come up with a list.
Right.
We'll be like, you have to come up with a 10 kind of basic bird, not basic.
Not totally
birds,
basic,
but
'cause, yeah.
yeah.
Because at the minute, I'm not sure you can hear that in the speaker, but you can hear a goldfinch in the background. Just singing.
Yeah.
It's stopped now. But that's another reason why we've come to the orchard today. This is our friend Wally Simpson's orchard. So Simpson's orchard in Leamington.
Beautiful.
It's fantastic. So we're sitting amongst the blossoms. But Wally over the years does post like great sightings he gets as he's driving about in his tractors and equipment around here. So we took a chance that something might show up as we're sitting here. But also, it looks really nice.
It does. You could literally just sit here all day
Yeah.
and just
You
watch
hear-
the odd thing
yeah.
fly in.
You can hear the bees and that going about pollinating and doing their business, and there is hawks and birds circling around in the background. So we thought this would be a nice spot. And later in the year, Wally's far too busy at this time of year. Hopefully, he doesn't come and run over us as we're sitting here in amongst his trees. But we're hoping to have him on because he's developed his bird watching over the years by working on the farm. He's up from sun up to sundown, especially this time of year. In the fall, he might have a little bit more time, and we'll just talk to him maybe about some of his sightings and things like that there, because I find it interesting. But I also find it interesting that in Essex County, I believe he grows 32 different varieties of apple in the orchard.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Like when you think about that, and I'm
Like, what was
sitting
the
here-
one earlier? You said
Spy. So the spies are on the outside,
Just
protecting
watching over everything.
everything on the inside. And we're in amongst, what did he say? Yellow Delicious, maybe, did he say?
Golden delicious.
Are you sure? I thought he said something about yellow. Yellow's not.
Well, isn't it just golden? Is there
No,
such thing as yellow?
Oh, yeah. There's 30. Too many. Can you name 32
No,
variety
I
apples?
got maybe 5.
But yeah, so he knows his apples. We don't, clearly.
Yeah.
But we'll have Mum might talk about a little bit about that as well, because it's pretty cool that just in nature we've got all these different things growing locally, and he can probably tell us about what's sort of imported, what was brought from other countries, not there, but it's crazy that he can grow so many different varieties of apple in this area. He
Yeah.
does do other things, but he's got a farm shop down there in Leamington, so if you ever want to stop by for that,
Definitely check it out.
check it out, because we're checking it out. Yeah, so anyway, the idea, so the fly catchers, some of them are really hard. Glenn had mentioned before about the one, the olive-sided flycatcher. Its song again. You have to start learning these songs. I'm not very good with these mnemonics because I'm never 100% convinced to sound like what people tell you to sound like.
Like we were saying yesterday, you can make almost every call sound like however you want it
Right.
to sound.
Well, like
Kinda.
so that's part of the idea of birds, right? So the olive-sided flycatcher, the kind of names and the words are all olive-sided, so it's slightly the greeny pale color down the side. It's got like a vest on.
Yeah.
but its call to say is drink 3 beers.
Yep.
Now, I've heard it a number of times. I am not convinced.
I mean, I'm sure there's one that probably nailed it. Drink 3 beers. Drink 3
Like
beers.
maybe a parrot.
If it does,
Like a parrot, you could teach a parrot how to drink 3 beers. It would sound exactly like that. But these things, like drink. Oh no, I'm not even going to say. No, Whippoorwill and Chuck Will's widow. So they're named after. It sounds like Chuck Will's widow.
yeah.
Not convinced.
Whippoorwill is like, I can kind of get that one, I think.
I can get it, but also, have you ever heard a red-winged blackbird singing?
What's it supposed to say?
I don't know what it is, but it sounds like whippoorwill.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it does similar.
Whippoorwill. No, so like,
But I guess like
you're
you're not going to be like, is that a whippoorwill up there, right? I guess that's your
right.
biggest-
No, absolutely right. No, there is gonna be areas where then you're gonna get that, but the songs is important because even if that mnemonic doesn't really sound like it, if you learn that in connection to the
it's
song,
a lot easier to remember.
yeah. So if it's more like the connection rather than actually sounding like it. I had a friend from Northern Ireland.
What about the barred owl?
It doesn't sound like anything.
The who cooks for you?
Yeah, who cooks for you? Nobody does. Yeah, and then the barking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You can't make that into a human word.
No,
anyway.
just it sounds like, oh, I hear that dog. Oh, no, not a dog, it's a barred owl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, the guy from Northern Ireland, he was over, ran into a few of them guys, never knew they were here. Ran into them a couple of years ago, Point Peely. Hung up, and then I ended up hanging out about with them while they were here still. And I think it was Davey. Was it Davey? I don't know, I'll ask Wilton. He was going on about there's one bird they went to see in China, some sort of warbler, and I still haven't found it. But he was trying to convince me because like, back home, as a greeting, we say, "What about you?" And he said, 100%. That's all that bird said was, "What about you? What about you?" So in our
Like
accent.
an Irish accent.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Wilton Wilton's only one on Facebook or whatever. Let me know what that bird that was. I need to check it out. Some Chinese warbler. I can't even think, but I want to check it out to hear if that song. Because I don't care what he says. I'm pretty sure it doesn't sound like "What about you."
He just really wanted it to sound
He
like
wanted it to, and that's what I'm going back to. The point is, people want these birds to sound like something, so they make up anything. And that's another silly, like these kind of, like the names of the birds.
that. Oh, some of them. Yeah.
So they made them up just to be.
But there's some
funny.
that are perfect, like black and white warbler. There's nothing. The only other thing you could call is a zebra warbler. Like, you know,
Right, but that I guess that's good in a way as well. That the yellow warbler.
Yeah.
So whenever you get into the warbler, typically that's what we're looking. The biggest sort of catch in the migration is the warblers. The sort of most variety, and the coloration is fantastic now. But the first one comes in and it breeds here is the yellow warbler. Pretty much, it's just it looks like a little yellow canary.
Yeah. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Extremely common.
Yeah, extremely common, and then we don't want to see them because they're so common.
Yeah.
But you get a nice male, and it's got those red, streaky, bits down its breast as well. So straight away you can put that ID to bed, quickly because you just look at it. But there are some then there if you look at in your ID, your field guide or an app, you'll see that there is a variety of them have yellow in them.
Yep.
So then that's why you have to take a second look. Like the one we seen the other night.
The prairie sided there.
The prairie, not prairie sided,
well,
just
prairie.
prairie warbler.
I would have walked by it if I didn't know.
Right,
Like,
but again, we knew there's one in there, and that's why you have to take more than a second glance. It's once because that's the problem. You get so tired. The yellows come in early, and they're staying here. It's not like they're moving on.
and then you almost like disregard everything yellow.
Yeah,
You're like,
but yet
yellow.
we've got Wilson's warbler.
Yeah.
Do you know the difference with Wilson's?
Nope.
It's got the black cap, right?
True.
Right, so it looks pretty much just like a yellow warbler. Got a little black like skull cap.
Like a hooded, but not so hooded.
So then we're on to hooded.
Yeah.
So hooded now is even more. So the Wilsons
the-
go from
the
the black
full
belt,
toque.
then it's got the full balaclava ski mask,
Yeah.
right? It's ready for war.
Yeah. Common yellow throat's kind of similar.
Again, got a predominant yellow. That's where when we probably get mixed up with some of the names because you've got yellow throated, common yellow throat, yellow warbler, ones with all yellow in their name.
Yeah.
But once you learn them, like the common yellow throat, people will call it like a bandit as well because it's sort of got the face mask. But it's another breeder in the area, Essex County anyway. You'll start to see it and become more familiar with it, and you'll just see it constantly. The yellow-throated, it's really not that common, but in the last couple of years we seem to get more of them. Unfortunately, yet I have not found one this year. Has been spotted further away than us in Rondo, but again, pretty good-looking bird. Lots of streaks, darker black streaking. Has that bright yellow throat, hence the name. But then there's another one that kind of looks like it. I think it's only ever been spotted once in Peely, a few years, but maybe 5 years ago, a Grace's warbler. And I'm like, how did somebody? And it was only seen in flight, right? But the guy, Willie Diana, I think his name was, the guy that found it, flying overhead, and he actually got good enough pics of it that you could tell that's what it was, right? But it was just like,
pure luck.
Yeah.
You heard it, looked up,
Yeah.
snaps, and you're like,
that's it, done,
that's it.
right? And then
never see it again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the yellow-throated, that seems to be coming back, not coming back, making inroads into this area. So that would be interesting
And
to
then
see.
some are also named after like the magnolia warbler, for like the magnolia trees or bushes, right?
Well, that's their habitat, what they're eating in, and some of them are like that. There, that's another good way for ID. We're talking about ID here. You have to learn a bit about the habitats to see them in.
Yeah.
So, because if you're walking around Point Peely, walking around any woodland, it's important to know the types of tree, or not important. You don't have to learn it, but just there is certain birds will be in certain types of tree because that's where the nest, or that's where they've come from.
Like kinglets, you almost always see them all the time in cedars and
Right.
that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
the picking the bugs there, and through the winter they're picking seeds and things like that out. Some of the warblers, they're more used to being in cedar. Some of them are more in the deciduous trees, but they do still, even though they're just passing through, they will tend to find it like their trees or whatever they go to once they're going to their breeding territory, because potentially they're kind of setting up as if they're going to, like, they don't really know the difference between where they're at, but they at some point then they get the feeling to move on to their breeding territory. So whenever they come into Point Peely or they come into Essex County, they're just going to the trees that is
Are
their
familiar,
habitat,
yeah.
right? So and then they get the feeling, still have to keep going. No, I'm moving further north or whatever.
You know of any books that have kind of descriptions on why the birds are called that?
Yeah, I don't.
There's got to be something out there.
I
Right?
think, yeah, I'm not even sure.
that'd
Something
be
like,
an interesting. I feel like that'd be a good way to remember. Bird
well,
names as
it
well.
would be a pretty extensive book. It'd be an awesome book or resource if it was a website or whatever. But if you had with a picture of it,
Yep.
And like a picture of the trees or the habitat that they're seen in, plus the reason where they got their name. Now a lot of them were just named by the ornithologists or whatever who found them.
Kind of like the lakes up north. They just
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
call it
Just
whatever,
call it whatever you want, and that gets it. You can even name your own waterfall.
yeah.
The
We're gonna have to do a waterfall plug when we do a waterfall show this year for sure. Get our waterfall back on the map.
Yeah, it should be still there, but I think we need to strengthen that. Nick and I, we've named a couple of waterfalls up in the Hamilton region.
Yep.
So we're
If you
hoping
want to, Google Two's Company and
Three's a crowd.
Three's a crowd.
Waterfalls. They are our waterfalls. We got to name them.
Right,
by
just-
default.
Yeah, just by default, just below Two's
Falls.
waterfalls.
So that I'll tell you. So Two's Falls. There's one well-known waterfall. Two's Falls, second biggest tallest waterfall in Ontario.
Yep.
So as we were walking up the river to get to it, there's these other two little waterfalls that came through. So the one that was right after it, we called it Two's Company after it. And then the saying like Two's Company, Three's a crowd. So the third one we call Three's a crowd. And the reason, there is a bit of a reason too, because it sort of just barrels down through like a siphoned area.
Yeah.
A couple of rocks really sort of squeezing it. So the crowded area. So I think they're good names.
We're gonna have to do a waterfall special this year.
Oh, definitely once we get
That'd
the
be cool.
well, the fall we'll probably do a couple of fall specials. But the waterfalls is definitely one to hit because there's so many of them, and it's a good topic. So yeah, back to naming things then. So the names come from the ornithologists. Some of them because the tree they seen them in. Some of them because what they said they look like, the black and white warbler, yellow-throated warbler. Ovenbird's a good one. Why they called it ovenbird?
That is true.
And that, so most of them, like the warbler ones, are named something warbler, but you've got a couple like the Louisiana and northern water thrush, kind of more like they're a thrushy looking bird, but they're not in the thrush family. And the ovenbird kind of looks like a thrush, but not like in the warbler
And then
family.
you had like the chat that was a warbler
And
that
got
got
kicked
demoted.
out. It just got too big.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Wonder if it actually started like the size of warbler and it got bigger over the years.
Yeah.
And that's I'm not a warbler
He,
anymore.
he is significantly larger than
Yeah.
a warbler, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we
wonder.
should-
I wonder why someone named it a warbler to begin with.
Yeah. Well, we'll maybe find that out.
We need
Or if
a
you're
lot
watching-
of questions.
Yeah. We're not giving you a whole lot of answers
more
here.
questions and answers
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this show.
yeah. We're just showing how much we don't know.
Yeah.
So the names of that, like, it kind of is a good way. If you were looking at the bird, like I've told you before, when we're trying to look and you're pointing your camera, there's it there, and then you try to show me it in the back of your camera. I
Yep.
don't want to see it in the back of your
You
camera.
want to see it on the tree.
Yeah, so you need to tell me. So it's the same thing with the bird. Like, what are you looking at? And then you start going, oh, well, it's got 2 white wing bars. Oh, it's kind of like a light green, like a buffy color. You start giving a description, and some of that description sometimes turns out to be part of the name.
Or
of
some people name like they kind of look like food, like the kinglets, look like the
Oh,
olive.
Yeah, olive with pimento.
Yeah.
It looks like an olive with pimento.
Yeah, no, it is difficult to ID birds, especially like a lot of them. You're just looking at just the underside.
Their butts.
Yeah, so it's like you're not getting any eye rings or
Right.
wing bars or anything off of it. The description there. So.
Yeah, and that's a tough point. Warblers in general. Glenn touched on this whenever he was on that. You get warbler neck. Now, a lot of these warblers stay in the tops of the trees. The worst part is they're staying on top of trees and they're tiny birds.
Yeah.
So, when you couple that there, if you don't know their song, or sometimes they're not even singing something, though you might get a chip note or something from them, you don't really hear that. Or you don't, it's hard to differentiate between some other birds. But there are some, as you go along, don't become overwhelmed with it, right? You just go out and typically I'm always trying to pick up maybe 1 or 2 songs each season, I'm really trying to put that so that next year I've got that. Sometimes I'll forget them too, but it's that it definitely is a better way. That if you've got target birds to try and get, or there's certain birds that they're saying, oh, I'm seeing this, and this. I'm not seeing that. If you learn the songs, you will see them because you'll hear them, and then you'll be able to get your eyes on them. Where if you're just walking along and you're just hearing a racket of songs and not paying attention,
Yeah. Sometimes you're looking up at a tree with 50 birds in it, and you're trying to pinpoint.
right? Yeah.
That one. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. The prothonotary. So it's another good word. So it's another yellow warbler, but I believe the prothonotary is a cloak that in the Catholic Church, like one of the priests or cardinals, somebody in the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, wears a prothonotary. So I believe that's where it got named because the prothonotary warbler is a yellow warbler with
Well, it looks like it's a
grey
little
wings,
cloak on.
grey. Yeah, so it's got like the grey over what you see from the back.
That's another one that's got a close looking. The blue winged.
Oh,
It's very-
yeah, the
very
blue.
similar.
Yeah, so the blue
Especially
wing.
from far. You're like,
The blue wing has that black, and the wings aren't necessarily really blue. Some of them look a bit more blue than others,
Yeah.
and that's where they get these. Probably the first person to see it in the light. Whenever they were naming it, never heard
Blue
before.
hour, they probably see
Yeah, exactly. Seen at the time of day, but it's pretty cool. It's got the little black eye stripes. But I think we'll do as well. We'll try and every bird that we're naming here, we'll try and throw a picture up of them. You've got a chat picture, so
Yeah,
you can use your chat picture. Mine just looked like a blur.
yeah. Pure luck.
that's you take it, right? What was the other one that you were saying?
Oh, the black-throated green.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So you disagree that it's green?
yeah.
So what do you think it should have been called? Black-throated, slightly off yellow?
Is there a black-throated yellow? No such thing as that.
No. But you
Perfect.
but you think it would have been better? Like, hold on, keep talking. You think it would have been better to use
Maybe they could add ish, like black-throated yellowish.
black through yellow? Okay, I'm going to look it up here.
See, black-throated yellow is I feel like that because the green is like, come on, show me the green. Does he have one green feather? That's hidden?
It's a green. It's not. You maybe say it's a like a shade of yellow, but you also say it's a shade of
But
green.
it's almost going back to like the purple sandpiper
Click on
again.
these. What?
The purple sandpiper, right? It's like,
Purple sandpiper. But you disagree? It's purple.
I mean, no, it's certainly not purple. I definitely disagree it's purple, but like the most perfect light, you get like a purple sheen. It's almost like calling like a grackle, like a purple grackle. or green grackle because they're like a certain light. It's green, blue, purple.
What is it called that?
No.
So look at these pictures. How can you not like?
Maybe I've never gotten a good picture of the green.
Look, like it's got the yellow, and then you have to call that green. Like, fair enough, I could say it's more yellow around the eye.
I feel like you have to go into a school with young children and be like, "What color is this?" And they go,
So
"Yellow."
whatever a young child tells you.
Yellow. Primary colors only.
Well, maybe we'll do that too. Well, maybe I don't. How many young kids I know? I know a few. We'll get them to name birds. How about that, right?
That'd be perfect.
And then we'll do a show on the new names for the
What
birds.
would I call it? I mean, no, now that I'm kind of looking at his neck, kind of has a greeny tinge to it.
Wow.
Like,
Glad you're admitting that. Like these are, I know how long. It's probably been named this for like at least 100 years.
yeah, here I'm trying to change
And,
it.
and here you are,
Disagreeing.
woke.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. It just makes it kind. Even like the. I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Maybe we'll try and find this one this year.
What's that?
Golden cheek.
Golden cheek.
Would you call it? Aye. So that's like a black-throated green as well, except it's.
I like that one's nice. That's a beautiful bird.
Yeah.
That one I'll give that golden cheek all day. I mean, it's
You-
not
yeah,
gold, but at least it's yellow.
I could probably, but looking at that from down below, you could easily say that's a black-throated green.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's tons of again, but it does help, right? Because like the black-throated green, although you're arguing this and that about how the shade of it, it's still you would at least get on it and then argue with me. Oh, that's not yellow, or that's not green, that's yellow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You'd still look at the same bird.
Yeah, yeah. True.
Right?
No, yeah.
So a lot of these like the golden cheek as well. Why is it not just called yellow cheek?
Yeah, or golden wing. Same thing, I guess. Yeah.
The golden wing has got yellow wings, right?
Yeah, but
So
why don't I call it
the yellow wing, yellow wing, black chin,
Yeah.
warbler.
Exactly. They make it just sound good. The golden wing,
Yeah,
it's like it just rolls off your tongue
like
better.
a Honda.
The Honda. Why Honda?
Oh. What's that?
Warbler
Let me see.
somewhere. Can't see.
Something right at the top of that tree. Hold on.
Yellow? No, it's buzzing.
Chipping sparrow.
Oh.
Yeah, so chipping. Well, in fact, you're not a fan of the sparrows, right? They're just all
Oh,
sparrows to you.
Not that I'm not a fan. I just know I got like the white crown, white throated, chipping, house.
The house sparrow's not actually a sparrow, eh?
No? Oh.
But like, no, I understand. No, I'm not going to take it away from you, because like, I would kind of. It's got the word sparrow in its name.
Yeah.
It's an old world.
Almost like a veery. Same idea. It's like a veery. It's like, why don't they go veery thrush?
Oh, you mean the Fury? No, I thought for some reason I thought Furios in my head there. Right, Fury. Yeah,
Yeah.
there should be some. Yeah, well, for easy reference. But if you were looking in the thrushes, a section in a book on thrushes, a Fury
in
would
the
come
fu-
up.
yeah,
But
yeah.
just
When you're
to,
looking
just
at
to
it
search
on the
app.
you're like thrushes, and you're
Right.
just trying to like look through all the thrushes. Like, where's the veery?
So sparrow anyway. So the house sparrow is the European or the English sparrow, but it's actually technically an old world finch. And the North American sparrows that have all the species.
What's it mean when it's old world?
Well, before the must be an Autobahn probably. I'm going to assume they decided to change everything.
Okay.
But a lot of the old English birds. See, a lot of the birds that we have as invasive species are birds that were brought here,
From Europe.
Europe. Well-meaning people. I think I might have mentioned this before. That somebody wanted to bring all the birds that are mentioned in Shakespeare over. So a lot of the starling, the sparrow, house sparrow, mute swan, things like that there. But
Starlings worked out good.
yeah, well, again, just and you can't really take it away from them. It's not their fault that they're good.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of scrappy, you know, because they'll nest anywhere. Like, and house sparrows the same. They're dominant.
They
They'll
take
nest
over
anywhere.
everything.
They're hardy. They'll stay here year round. And then they'll pretty much nest anywhere. They'll just grab any garbage and make a nest out of it. Is that their fault? You know.
Yeah, you're the top of the.
Yeah, exactly. You're apex
yeah.
apex nester.
Yeah, that's like, you will survive.
Yeah. So you said chipping sparrow. Like, so as true sparrows are North American sparrows, you got the chipping sparrow, our most common one, the song sparrow. Um, some of the harder ones like grasshopper.
Lincoln
Lincoln's actually they start turning up about now. So by the time this comes out, Lincolns should be really you should be able to see them right now. You know they're again kind of punky looking. They've got a nice little mohawk going, slightly thinner in the face. But you've got some of the ones that are just grassland sparrows. So the savannah, vesper, grasshopper. One that's really rare would be Henslow. I've only seen it once. But then there's then another class of rare ones like the Contes, sparrow, lark sparrow, things that really are proper rarities. Like they're not. Some of them are rarities here just because of loss of habitat, like Henslow, grasshopper. There's not enough sort of meadows for them to nest in, so we don't have them as commonly here. But the song sparrow it does well because it'll nest pretty much anywhere, around water and around fields and stuff like that there. Oh, another good one, swamp sparrow. Again, just darker face, darker features. There is little ID too. Actually, if I can, I'll post links to them. I'm not sure if there's links to them or I'll just post pictures. There is like little charts, almost like a cartoon drawn, but just a circle with a beak, a triangle on the end of it, and it has just a drawn diagram of the facial
I've seen
features.
A couple of those going around on the internet.
There's one for warblers. There's one for sparrows.
I seen one for the. You see the one for the flycatchers?
Oh, it's all the same bird.
All the exact same. I was like, this makes it easy.
Yeah, so there is ways to learn it. It can become overwhelming, but even this morning, I was out this morning, and to me it's kind of dead, right? So there's days that it'll just be dead, but it gives you a chance now to really hone in on your sort of more common birds, and then you can sort of forget about them, right? Once you've kind of learned what they are, and we have quite a few of them around that are common, but during May there's probably 90% of the species that come through here are just moving through here. They'll be here for a few days to a few weeks maximum, and then off they go the breed. So sparrows are kind of hard then, so there is a lot. But I find sparrows, once you start looking at them, like they're nothing compared to the flycatchers are probably the hardest ones. Once you get into a few of the species that we would maybe get around here, a lot of them look very similar. It really has to do with call.
Should probably get into some of the apps and how we use the apps,
right?
Because pretty hard to. I don't know. The books are sweet, but you can't carry around
there is because some of them are called field guides, right? So the smaller versions, like that book I had with Paul's show, that breeding atlas, I kind of recommend everybody to have. If you're really into birds and you really enjoy it, it's just a fabulous resource. It only comes out once every 10 years, so it's not going to get updated. It's not going to outdate it. So it's something that you're going to have in your house. I would assume at some point it's going to go digital, and you probably have to have a digital subscription to it. But just to have that there,
it'd be cool to compare 10 years from now.
Exactly, and that's what it is. So you got the first edition, the second edition is the one you can buy at the minute, and the third edition is the one that they're making. And it has, for living in Ontario, it has all you need to know. But like I said, that's not practical for carrying around. So if you do want to have a field guide with you, but field guides are hard to get around. The Merlin app primarily is the one that I can research. I've got a couple. I've got Peterson's as well there, but Merlin, when you open it, you can describe the bird. So if you're getting really good looks, and like was said before in a show, you don't want to waste time playing on your phone.
Yeah.
Just get out and enjoy it. If it really comes down to it.
If you can get a picture and figure it out.
If you're into photography and you're getting pictures, then try and ID it later. If not, some people take a note, like a description or a little drawing of a bird, and then try and work out it.
How long does it take to draw?
It's
not, be there for
you don't be an artist. Literally, you draw. No. Word. No, just grab like a stick man drawing, except a stick bird, and just put description. Even
just
you don't have to bring
color.
Yeah, exactly. Bar, yeah. Don't have
just quick points.
Yeah, you don't have to get the whole easel and your best set of coloring pencils. Do you call them coloring pencils?
I think so.
Okay, good. Because there's some people call them pencil crayons.
Oh, I feel like in grade school I would call them pencil crayons, but now it's I'm probably 50-50 now I think about it.
What? How can you be 50? How can you?
I've never used the word coloring pencils or
what?
Or
you've never used that word?
No, I have, but I have never said it in probably 10 years.
10 years?
I've never used them. What would I use them for? I'm digital.
I don't know.
2021.
You probably have used the word coloring pencil in 10 years.
I'm trying to think of the last thing I was like,
Well, you're not going to be able to think over everything you've said in the last 10 years. Let's put it that
Well,
way.
I'm trying to think of the last thing I would have had to use a color pencil for.
Oh.
Right? When
I
was
don't
the last
know.
time you do a lot of, probably drawing birds.
Yeah, I
While
draw
you're out-
birds
while
all the
you're
time.
out on the
Chip and sparrow.
Yeah. It's really chipping away.
Yeah. So I'm not sure you can pick that up in the microphone, but
That's
it's
pretty loud.
real high pitched trill. Yeah, so just some people call them pencil crayons. I don't understand why that, because to me it's a colored pencil or colorine pencil, because it's a pencil.
Yep.
Anyway, so you just
Where did we veer off from?
well, I was talking about how you draw the
Oh, yeah,
picture, right,
yeah.
and just give a quick. If you had, you don't have to pull out the full set of coloring pencils. Just like what color is around the eye, whatever. If it was something like whatever sticks out,
Yep.
and that's how you learn how to ID birds. Is whenever you look at it, you have to get something. Like you can't just look and say bird, right?
What's wrong with that?
Well, you can do that if you want, but it's not birding. You might as well stay home and say, look, I've seen that bird, so I've seen them all.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see something, and there's gonna be something why you're attracted to it.
Yeah.
So why you think that's a nice looking bird? You go, oh, it was really nice. It had. Now this is a funny thing, when people do that and they tell you what they've seen, they describe birds that aren't alive yet.
It's almost like the telephone game.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. By the time it gets
It
to you,
gets so skewed.
yeah, it's not even
6
true.
feet tall.
Yeah,
It's like super colorful. You're like, huh.
it had talons, but it was eating vegetables. So that's a lot of this isn't like it's not 100% foolproof. Maybe if you're with a few people, then you start to build a real good ID because somebody agrees with you what they saw, and that's why it's good birding with other people. Like you and Paige went the other day, you saw more than me. I just put that down to there's more eyes. Because there's no way you've seen all those birds and I didn't.
I had pictures to prove it.
No, I'm not saying, but you only got them because Paige told you.
Yeah, she's a spotter.
Yeah, she's seen some, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm by myself. I'm no good at song, so I'm literally having to look up and down, so I'm missing things.
Yeah.
If you have, say you're out with
So
two
wait.
people.
Are you admitting your hearing's not great?
No, my hearing's good. I just don't know I don't know what I'm hearing.
Okay. All right.
I'm not. No, I deny that. So when you're out by yourself, you can't look at the sky, you can't look at the middle, and you can't look at the ground, right?
Yeah.
So really, for a 4-man team is the way to go.
Mhm.
You want somebody who can really identify with song, somebody who can see in the upper, who's going to pay attention in the upper, somebody at eye level, and somebody because these birds are all like also that's part of the habitat thing. There's certain birds you're going to see, the warblers that we call skulkers, are ones that forage around in the undergrowth. You'll just see them pop up out of the leaf litter every so often, and or even if it's not leaf litter, they'll be amongst the grasses and that, and they pop up. So if you're not looking on the ground all the time, there's potential to miss.
Yep.
Then you've got ones that are usually like the chat that you're talking about. It does go down in the undergrowth, but it very rarely gets above 10 feet, though the one we got last night was like 40 feet.
Top of a tree.
But again, just typically that having eyes around eye level is good, and then somebody who's looking, because you're in somewhere tall trees, somebody who's looking at the tops. So there is just different nuances that you have to sort of pick up on, and what the birds are going to behavior they're going to be like. So behavior, habitat, what they look like, all adds to the ID. What was that?
Chip and sparrow again.
Same one just flying around, wants to be on.
Just chipping.
So that all adds to part of the ID. So ID in birds isn't necessarily just what you see, because you can sort of be deceived with light and things like that there. But it's like one thing you look and you think, oh, that's a prothonotary warbler. Well, how? And then you sort of give them a bit of descriptions, what you think so. But whenever it turns around and sings and says, I'm a prothonotary warbler, it becomes undeniable, right?
Yeah.
So again, that's back to the point, learning the song. See, I don't know why I keep banging on about learning songs. I think I'm maybe just trying to drum it into myself that I should learn the songs, because I don't. But yeah, really, that it's such a telltale for a lot of them. Some of them sound quite similar, so you make mistakes. But again, if you're making, if you know somewhat, then you're still narrowing it down, right? You know, you're knocking away some of the other birds, and you've got down to, from having a pool this big down, you're down to a smaller pool of birds to ID from. And as much as all this is important, as far as just wanting to learn a bit more birds, it's still the enjoyment is getting out there. You're going to sneeze?
Oh.
Oh, first sneeze in the podcast.
Oh. No,
Well,
I think I'm alright.
You're okay
I
now?
think I'm good.
Okay, that's
It's
good.
all the pollen in the air.
Oh, all these your next allergies are kicking off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the ID is important. It's as important as you want it to be as well. But I can guarantee you, most people who see something want to know what they've seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you take enough interest, to put a feeder up, and you got something in your backyard, you're going to want to say, oh, I get goldfinches and house finches, and oh, I get song sparrows in the ground. I get cardinals coming. I get no, and people put them up because they're attracted to them. They want to attract them so that they can see what's there.
Here's another important fact we should get over because I mess it up all the time. Like you yell at me, but when pointing out a bird when you're in a group, what's the proper way to do it? Like when you go like. You know how I always go right there. There it is.
Right. Well,
And
right. If you're in it, like, and also not saying in the tree. In the tree's garbage, because you're looking at tree.
There's only one person worse than me though.
Who?
Paige.
Her descriptions are worse than yours.
Yeah. She's like, it's in a tree. That tree. The tree over there. And then you're like.
Well, yeah. So start by distance away from you. Now people will get skewed with distance, but they're not. We're not talking like 250 meters. Oh, I can see. Is that in that tree 250 meters away? Now, first of all, you're going to say, okay, now we're being ridiculous. But even at that, you're going to look far, right?
Yeah.
So typically, what I try to do, and I'm not perfect at it. Everybody always gets in and just starts saying, oh, in the tree. But you want to describe what the tree, the features of the tree. So if you're saying that we're in a row of trees here, well, the next row's 10 feet away.
Yep.
15 feet. So we'll go 15 feet away. You see the tree, and then you kind of describe some of the attributes of that tree, because unless you're looking at two identical trees. But if you're saying the one that's kind of sloping to our right, and as you go up, you see a Y in the tree. You start to describe what the tree looks like until you get to the point where you've seen the bird. So typically, you're able to pick out a trunk of a tree. So you tell them, look at that tree that's 15 feet away.
Yeah.
See that trunk? See the trunk? It's kind of leaning to the right a little bit. Okay, I got that one. Follow that right up. Now you see where it Y's off. Now, obviously, you want to do this quickly enough.
Yeah, you don't even want like a sextant. You're like.
Yeah, well,
setting
exactly. It doesn't.
like
You're not
40
you
degrees.
don't need to be 100% accurate. But once you even got people they're in the right direction, then they're going to start the
Especially when you see it kind
movement.
of moving around.
Then you're going to see a bit of movement, and then is that one? And then you go yes, because usually just seen some. You go, that's the one I was looking at, and then that trains their eye. When you're using binoculars, or you just use your camera really, but with your binoculars, same thing. When you're not looking at it, you want to be so you're seeing it in the tree. So even for your own eyes, and you want to get a closer look, you're constantly looking at it. Just keep an eye on it. Don't look down to grab your binoculars, because once you've looked down, that
You'll
bird's
lose
gone. It'll either move or go behind leaves, or your eye just refocuses. You want to bring your binoculars up as you're looking at it, and try and get your binoculars on really just where your eyes are looking, and then sort out your focus. Doing that will definitely improve the amount of times you see the bird. But just to get the description, like what annoys me with you is whenever you show me it in the back of your camera. Like what use is that to me? Like it's absolutely
Nice blown out background.
all it is for you to be able to ID the nice picture you've got, and then I don't get to see the
I just like
bird.
to rub it.
Yeah. So you need to stop doing that. Cause
I need like a GoPro on top, so the GoPro does like the wide angle.
right. Yeah, so
Yeah,
zooms
you
in on it.
get the both.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is it. You want to, when you're describing to other people, when you're with other people, you want to be able to get typically distance. Like saying right there doesn't help either. No, a distance. Put a like, even if it's 5 feet or 3 meters. Sort of whatever.
Are those the same?
No. 3 a meter.
It's like 3 feet.
It's
well.
3 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 5 feet is like just say a meter and a half.
Yeah.
Not even.
Or get golf range finders.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing.
Now,
Yeah, but just as a basic human being who's been to any kind of level of education, you should be able to give a description of something, right?
Yeah, because almost everything you're seeing is within the 50-meter radius of you for the most part.
Right.
Unless you're like eagle, half a kilometer.
Well, exactly. Unless you look up in the sky and you start to see some flam or something catches your eye through a tree.
Yeah.
Typically, you're looking at something in your eye line of vision. So yeah, you get the description in with start with a basic distance, and then if you're describing trees along that plane, so even if people are getting the distances wrong, at least you give them a distance, and then you sort of start going, well, see, then there's 3 trees. You see the 3 trees? And then, okay, so the middle one or the one to the left of that there, and then you start describing through that. That will do. Some of that will still be too slow in order to catch some of these birds because they'll move on pretty quickly. But it's still a whole lot more helpful than saying, it's in a tree.
It's right there.
It's right there in the tree. Yeah. Look, and getting frustrated by trying to say it more.
Then everyone's just frustrated. Yeah,
if you say tree, the more times you say tree, it doesn't make it more helpful.
Yeah.
Tree, in the tree. Oh, and in the tree. Okay, I got it now. Thanks. No, so yeah, you gotta be putting a little bit of emphasis on direction and distance, then attributes of that. And then, so you've kind of give ID to everything else around it.
Ooh,
got a kingfisher in the background. We're quite near Wally's magical pond that he gets lots of bird sightings in. It's at the top of this hill and then down. But there's a kingfisher checking it out. And there's plenty of fish for a date. We did see plenty of fish. So again, kingfisher, belted kingfisher. In this area, it's the only kingfisher we're going to get. Pretty easy to see. They're noisy. Pretty much give themselves away with their noise, but they've got like a dark blue, grey back of their body, white,
mohawk.
And then got the mohawk going, strong, structured bill, and then a brown red belt where they get their belted name from. It's a good bird to see. It's hard to photograph.
Oh yeah. Crazy.
Have you got any good pictures of belted kingfisher? I think I've got some sitting in a tree.
No.
One of the facts first, I was working on the guy's house locally here, and he had a big pond. I just remember seeing one going down, grabbing the fish, just spearing right through it. It was on the end of this thing, and I take it off. It's just bashing it. Like it was just pulverizing that fish. It wasn't all right. That's kind of one way to make sure it doesn't kick, but it certainly enjoyed it. So the ID is just to get your heads around IDs is important for whenever you're out. Don't stress out about it. Don't get out and have the enjoyment. Also, if you're in chat groups or Facebook groups and whatever else kind of groups that are posting pictures, someone posting phenomenal pictures, and then people come up with reports saying, okay, I went to Point Pila today. I seen 25 different kinds of warbler. I seen a red-headed woodpecker. I seen a scarlet tanager. And you start imagining and dreaming about all this beauty that people have seen. You have to understand that some people do things differently to how you're going to do it. So for me, even though people are saying that, I'm at the point where I still want lots of good pictures. Mm-hmm. So the 25 species of warbler may have all been at the top of a tree, not very good looks, and the normal average person who just wants to see the beauty in nature isn't going to be impressed with looking at a warbler's bum.
It's not like they're just right at eye level all day.
No, and that's why you want to keep an eye out for when people announce a fallout day. Mm-hmm. Not very predictable, but the weather is where they've been pushed over through the night.
By 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you're going to know.
7 o'clock in the morning, it's
if you can make it to predominantly Point Peely's whenever they talk about fallout day. But if there's a fallout day in Point Peely, typically anywhere along the north shore coast of Lake Erie, there'll be those birds. But if you're wanting help with IDs and seeing other people and people pointing out things, Point Peely's going to have the majority of the people on it. But those are the days where all the birds are going to be up in the trees at eye level on the ground. They're going to be everywhere right now, so you will have a better chance of seeing things. But they are there. Get out and enjoy nature. Go to your local park. You're going to see some things that maybe some other areas don't see. Like then they go bunting in that little park in Harrow. They breed there, so you go there as long as you know the song and you start hearing the song, and you'll start seeing them flying around. You go to Ojibwe and you get the tufted titmouse you don't get anywhere else. So there is little pockets of things where you're going to go and be able to see them. Just by the end of May, when the whole foliage is on the trees, it just becomes harder. It's nice being out still because you can hear the songs and you can see the odd bird flying around.
And
but
summer's right around the corner.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you start getting buggy and mosquitoes and it's not as fun. But yeah, for the IDs, I think we'll just take, while we've been doing this, we'll just shoot up some pictures of some of the warblers we've mentioned, just to give an idea of like how close like the yellows and some of them are, and why the black-throated greens and that. You got the black-throated blue as well. So again, the names of these, I did it with my daughter as well. Like, when I ask them, like, what do you think that bird's called? Almost just describe it, and typically you'll get at least one attribute. Some of them slightly, like you say, it's yellow instead of green, but it still gets you there a little bit. You know, you
Mhm.
describe the size of the bird, and with the app, so like Merlin app, I'll just say you use Audubon,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty similar, but Merlin, like they're both run by Audubon, I think. But the Merlin app, you can put in the description, so it gives you the size of the bird. So you just need to go from the pictures, it gives you down the sizes, and even
Colors and flight.
the color, main colors, secondary colors. If it, where it was on the ground, was it in water, was it
Habitats. And,
yeah, habitat, and then that gives you pretty much and location. Now the only thing with location, if you put it in and it doesn't really give you what you're sure you've seen, remove the location or remove the date, because that's where the rarities come in that shouldn't be here, so it's not throwing up what it thinks it might be.
Or you'll get like things that are like, wow, it's rare, and you just seen 100 of them.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
so it
'cause
can't be rare.
Yeah, you're like, huh. Yeah, the location thing is kind of a weird one.
Yeah, don't have your location if you've been in Florida over the
Yeah,
winter.
yeah.
Have your location set as Florida, and then start looking for birds, because it'll say it's not here, or it's rare here.
Yeah.
Whenever it's rare in Florida, so again, you have to just pay attention to the details there. But yeah, I think like the idea is really, so this podcast should be on, and this is Prime, so this is Thursday evening. Hopefully you're watching it. If you're not, you're probably starting to get past Prime. But if you're watching this when it's come out, Friday, Saturday, Sunday coming up,
Should be good.
it should be good. Even if the weather's not good, now we should have a good batch of migrants in. So now you're right in the middle of migration, and your chances of seeing things are at the peak. The chances of seeing everything are dwindling because things are moving on.
Mhm.
But you're in peak for migration. The next week or so, there will be other birds coming through, and then at the end of it, so if we'll give it another couple of weeks after this, we'll do like a migration special, and we'll try and get some of the pictures if we manage any video. Probably won't manage any video because it's
Chaotic.
the only video is maybe if we see groups of people looking for a bird or something, and you'll sort of see the excitement of what it is to try and find a rare bird. That would be the only thing I could think of for that. But
Or like even like when people say the warbling, their warblers are warbling in the trees, right? You can kind of
Right.
see that kind of behavior. How
yeah,
they're just bouncing around upside down,
Yeah.
picking bugs out.
warblers doing what warblers do.
Yeah.
And then like the other keyword people, if anybody says, "Oh, the birds are dripping from the trees," that's a fallout day. Get to whatever park you can and go and see them.
There's like Christmas ornaments everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
oh.
pretty much. Yeah, it's like little Christmas trees, and well, they're not Christmas trees, but they might as well be because they're adorned with little decorations. But the behavior is pretty cool. By the middle of May, we start getting other birds coming in, and some of the most will be like starting to get some of the nesting birds that will show up, and it's nice to see them. But you want to be hitting the migration for the warblers, which is going to be right now. So get out there and enjoy it. The sun's out now. This is probably actually too warm of the part of the day. Usually in the afternoon. Yeah, don't go out mid-afternoon.
Yeah, early morning. Right?
Early morning's best. About lunchtime, the birds, the song and stuff starts to drop off. You will still see the odd thing, but they don't want to be out in the heat of the day. And then it usually picks up again after about 5 o'clock in the evening until sundown. You'll start to see real activity picking up again. So that's the key times of day as well. But I think for now, we've pretty much nailed ID.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably you could talk about.
You can talk about ID all
ID
day, right?
forever.
Yeah, because you can think of something else to talk about. Whatever.
Yeah.
Every sort of family of birds. You can start talking about woodpeckers, start talking about the ducks. But for now, like saying, the biggest ones for us in migration is the amount of warblers we get coming through. So to see them is pretty good. But do keep an eye out for any kind of bird, that especially ones that this looks out of place. They're the ones that really get people's attention because typically they are the rare ones that shouldn't be here or have expanded their range. So anyway, I think that's I think we've probably hit that. We'll try and get some pictures up and get people excited and hopefully see people out and about in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. So we'll wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
So it's a goodbye from Nick.
Goodbye from Donnie.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.